You know what I figured out after 40 years studying human behavior? Every time you check if someone likes you back, you're killing any chance they actually will. I know that sounds backwards, but here's the truth. The moment you need their validation, you've already lost them. And I'm going to show you exactly why your brain is sabotaging you and how to fix it in the next 30 minutes. Look, I'm not here to give you pickup lines or tricks to manipulate people. That's garbage. What I'm giving you in the next 35 minutes is something deeper. I'm showing you how to stop needing validation in the first place. Because here's your real problem. You've been taught that getting someone to like you is the goal. It's not. The goal is becoming someone who doesn't need anyone to like them. That's what creates real attraction. I spent 4 decades developing rational emotive behavior therapy, working with thousands of people who sabotage their relationships the exact same way. And what I discovered is this. Your need for approval isn't about the other person. It's about the irrational beliefs you're carrying around in your head. Most people think attraction is about being charming or good-looking or successful. Those things help, sure, but they're not what makes someone magnetically attractive. What makes you magnetic is emotional independence. It's being totally okay whether someone likes you or not. And I know what you're thinking. But if I don't care if they like me, how will I ever connect with anyone? That's the beautiful paradox. When you stop needing their approval, you actually become more attractive, more genuine, more connected. Because you're finally showing up as yourself instead of as someone trying to please them. By the end of this video, you'll understand the exact psychological trap that's been killing your attraction. You'll see the irrational beliefs that drive approval-seeking behavior. And you'll have a practical system to build genuine self-acceptance that makes you naturally attractive without trying. This isn't theory. This is what works. Let's get into it. So let me start by showing you exactly what happens when you need validation from someone. When you need validation, you unconsciously change your behavior in ways that destroy attraction. This isn't about playing games. It's about the fundamental human response to neediness. And trust me, humans are wired to move away from neediness and toward confidence. It's biological. Desperation triggers ancient survival instincts that signal something is wrong with this person. When you need validation, your body language changes. Your tone changes. Your energy changes. And the other person feels this shift, even if you think you're hiding it. Here's the approval-seeking paradox. The more you try to get someone to like you, the less attractive you become. Why? Because you stop being authentic and you start performing. And people aren't attracted to performances. They're attracted to authenticity. Your best behavior often backfires because it's not really you. You're putting on a show and everyone can sense it. Let me tell you how this shows up in real life. You're constantly checking their responses. Text anxiety. Social media stalking. Did they like my post? Did they view my story? Why haven't they texted back in 20 minutes? You change your opinions to match theirs. They say they love a certain band, and suddenly you love that band too, even though you've never listened to them. You over-explain yourself. You apologize too much. You fish for compliments or reassurance. Are you mad at me? Do you still like me? Is everything okay? And you get anxious when they don't respond immediately. Now here's why this kills attraction instantly. It signals you don't value yourself. Think about it. If you're constantly seeking their approval, you're basically saying, I don't think I'm good enough without your validation. And nobody is attracted to someone who doesn't think they're good enough. It also creates an unequal power dynamic. You put them above you. You've given them all the power. And relationships need some level of equality to work. It makes the other person responsible for your emotional state. That's exhausting for them. They can feel that weight. They know your happiness depends on them, and that's way too much pressure. And it removes the mystery and challenge that builds attraction. If they know you're already all in, already desperate for them, already chasing, there's nothing left to discover. The game is over before it started. Let me give you an example. I had a patient once who met someone at a party. They had great chemistry, laughed together, real connection. He got her number and was excited. So what did he do? He texted her that night. Sweet message. No response. He texted again the next morning. Just checking in. No response. By the end of the week, he had sent 15 messages without a single reply. 15. He was devastated. He thought she hated him. He questioned everything about himself. 3 weeks later, he ran into her at another party. This time, he was so emotionally exhausted from the rejection that he didn't care anymore. He was polite but distant, didn't try to impress her, didn't seek her approval, just talked to other people and had fun. And guess what happened? She spent the entire night trying to get his attention. She started texting him the next day, wanted to hang out. What changed? He stopped needing her validation, and suddenly she was interested again. Now you might be thinking, but isn't it normal to want someone to like you? Of course it is, but there's a huge difference between wanting and needing. And that difference determines whether you're attractive or desperate. Let me break this down for you. Wanting is a healthy preference. Wanting sounds like this. I would like this person to find me attractive. You're open to connection, but not dependent on it. Your emotional well-being doesn't hinge on their response. You can enjoy the interaction without attachment to the outcome. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, you're still okay. That's wanting. Needing is an irrational demand. Needing sounds like this. I must have this person's approval, or I'm worthless. Your self-esteem is tied to their validation. Rejection feels like a catastrophe instead of a disappointment. You'll compromise yourself to get their approval. You'll twist yourself into a pretzel, trying to be what they want. That's needing. And here's what I call masturbatory thinking. It's one of my signature concepts, and it's important. Masturbatory thinking is when you take preferences and turn them into absolute demands. Shoulds, musts, have TOS. They must like me, or I'm unlovable. I should be able to make them attracted to me. I have to get their validation to prove I'm worthy. These demands create anxiety and neediness every single time. So how do you identify your pattern? Notice your self-talk when someone doesn't respond. Do you think, oh, well, they're probably busy? Or do you immediately spiral into they hate me? I'm not good enough. I did something wrong. Check your emotional reaction to rejection. Are you disappointed for a day or two? Or are you devastated for weeks? Pay attention to how much you modify yourself around them. Are you being yourself, or you try to be what you think they want? And observe whether you can be happy if they're not interested. Can you genuinely move on, or does your whole world collapse? Think of it like this. You can prefer a specific restaurant without needing to eat there. If it's closed, you're disappointed, but you find another option and you have a good meal anyway. But if you need that specific restaurant or you'll starve, that's irrational. You're giving one restaurant way too much power over your survival. Same with validation. You can prefer someone's approval without needing it for your worth. If they're not interested, you're disappointed, but you move on and find other connections. But if you need their specific validation or you're worthless, you've given one person way too much power over your entire sense of self. Okay, so you understand the difference now. But here's the question everyone asks me. Where does this need for validation even come from? Why do we do this to ourselves? Let me show you. Your need for validation isn't random. It's driven by 3 core irrational beliefs that were programmed into you from childhood. Understanding them is the first step to freedom. Irrational belief number 1. I need everyone's approval to be worthy. Where does this come from? Childhood conditioning. Parental approval systems. You were told you're a good boy when you did what they wanted. You're a bad boy when you didn't. Your worth was tied to performance and approval from day one. Why is this irrational? Because it's an impossible standard. You can't get everyone's approval. Ever. Even the most beloved people in history had haters. It also gives others way too much power. You're letting random people determine your worth. The reality is you can be valuable whether people approve or not. Your worth isn't up for a vote. How does this manifest in attraction? You try to be perfect. You hide your real self. You perform instead of being authentic. You agree with everything they say. You never take a risk or show vulnerability because you can't stand the thought of them not approving. Irrational belief number 2. Rejection means I'm fundamentally flawed. This is catastrophic thinking at its finest. Why is it irrational? Because rejection is about compatibility, not worth. Someone not being attracted to you doesn't mean you're broken. It just means you're not a good match for that specific person. The reality is even the most attractive people face rejection constantly. There are people who think Brad Pitt isn't attractive. There are people who think Beyoncé isn't talented. Preference exists. It doesn't mean anything about fundamental worth. How does this manifest? You avoid vulnerability. You're terrified of putting yourself out there because rejection would confirm your worst fear that you're flawed. So you stay safe, stay hidden, and you never really connect with anyone. Irrational belief number 3. I can't be happy unless this person likes me. This is the happiness dependent on others trap. Why is it irrational? Your happiness is your responsibility, not theirs. No person can make you happy or unhappy. You generate your own emotional states based on your beliefs. The reality is you've been happy before without them. You can be happy after them. Your well-being doesn't depend on any specific person's approval. How does this manifest? Obsessive thinking. You can't stop thinking about them. Stalking behavior. Checking their social media 50 times a day. Desperation. You'll do anything to get their attention because you think your happiness depends on it. Now let me show you how these beliefs create your emotional responses. This is my ABC model, and it's crucial. A is the activating event. B is your belief about that event. C is the emotional consequence. Here's what most people get wrong. They think it causes C. The activating event causes the emotion. They don't text back, so I feel anxious. But that's not how it works. B causes C. Your belief causes the emotion. Let me show you. Activating event. They don't text back. Belief option 1. This means I'm not good enough. They hate me. I'm worthless. Emotional consequence. Anxiety, panic, neediness, desperate behavior. Belief option 2. They're probably busy. Or maybe we're not a good match, and that's okay. Emotional consequence. Mild disappointment, maybe curiosity, but overall calm and fine. Same activating event. Different beliefs. Completely different emotions. This is huge. Your emotions aren't caused by what happens to you. They're caused by what you tell yourself about what happens to you. Change your beliefs, and you change your emotions. I had a patient who came to me devastated. She believed she needed her boyfriend's constant validation. When he broke up with her, she thought her life was over. She couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't function. She was sure she'd never be happy again. I worked with her to challenge that belief. We questioned it. Do you really need his approval to be okay? Were you happy before you met him? Can you create happiness on your own? 3 months later, she came back to see me, and she was happier than I'd ever seen her. Happier than when she was with him. What changed? Not the breakup. She was still single. What changed was her belief. She realized she didn't need him to be happy. She could create her own happiness. And that realization set her free. This proves your happiness isn't dependent on any specific person's approval. The belief that you need them is the problem, not losing them. Now here's where this gets really interesting. Because once you understand these irrational beliefs, you can start to challenge them. And that's exactly what we're doing next. I'm giving you the specific technique to rewire this pattern. You can't just stop needing validation. That doesn't work. You have to actively dispute the irrational beliefs and replace them with rational ones. This is the D in my ABCD model. Disputation. Here's the process. Step 1. Catch yourself in the irrational belief. Notice when you're thinking I need their approval or rejection means I'm worthless. Step 2. Question it. Where's the evidence this is true? Where's the proof? Step 3. Challenge it. Why must they like me? Who says? Where's the law of the universe that says this? Step 4. Replace it with a rational alternative. A belief that's actually true and useful. Step 5. Practice the new belief until it becomes automatic. This takes repetition, but it works. Let me give you the 3 rational beliefs that replace the 3 irrational ones. Rational belief number 1. I prefer approval but don't need it. It's nice when people like me, but not necessary for my worth. I can handle disappointment without catastrophizing. My value exists independent of anyone's opinion. This belief creates emotional freedom and actual confidence. Not fake confidence. Real confidence that doesn't depend on external validation. Rational belief number 2. Rejection is feedback, not failure. Sometimes we're not compatible, and that's useful information. Not everyone will like me, and that's completely fine. Rejection protects me from wrong-fit relationships. The right people will appreciate who I really am. This belief takes the sting out of rejection and makes you braver about putting yourself out there. Rational belief number 3. I'm responsible for my own happiness. No person can complete me or make me whole. I was okay before them. I'll be okay after them. Relationships enhance life. They don't create it. This belief makes you attractive because you're not a burden. You're not looking for someone to fix you or save you or make you happy. You're already whole. You're just looking for someone to share life with. That's completely different energy, and people feel it. Let me show you disputation in real time. Patient thinks she hasn't texted back in 3 hours. She must hate me. Now we dispute. Where's the evidence she hates you? Did she say that? No. She just hasn't texted in 3 hours. Maybe she's at work. Maybe her phone died. Maybe she's with family. Even if she's not interested, does that mean you're worthless? No. You were fine before you met her. You have value regardless of whether she texts back. What's the rational belief? I prefer she texts back, but I don't need it for my worth. I'm okay either way. Feel the difference. The first thought creates panic and anxiety. The second thought creates calm and emotional stability. That's the power of disputation. Right now, think of someone whose validation you're seeking. Notice the belief. I need them to like me. Now dispute it. Where's the proof you need this? What's the worst that happens if they don't like you? Can you survive that? Have you survived it before? Of course you have. What's the rational alternative? I prefer they like me, but I'm okay if they don't. My worth isn't on trial here. Feel the shift when you change the belief. That shift is everything. That's where your freedom lives. Okay, you're starting to challenge these beliefs. But here's what nobody tells you. There's a deeper level to this. Because it's not just about what they think of you. It's about what you think of you. And that's what we need to fix next. The ultimate solution to validation seeking isn't getting better at attracting people. It's developing unconditional self-acceptance. Accepting yourself completely regardless of anyone's opinion or your own performance. Let me explain what unconditional self-acceptance actually means, because most people get this wrong. It's not I'm perfect. That's arrogant and false. Nobody's perfect. It's not I'm worthless. That's self-defeating and also false. It's I'm a fallible human being with worth, period. You accept yourself with all your flaws and mistakes. Your worth isn't earned through achievements or approval. It just is. You're worthy because you're human. That's it. That's the whole thing. Why is this more powerful than confidence? Because confidence depends on performance. Confidence says I'm good at this. But what happens when you fail? Confidence crumbles. Self-acceptance is unconditional. Self-acceptance says, I'm okay regardless. I can fail and still be worthy. I can make mistakes and still have value. Confidence goes up and down based on results. Self-acceptance remains stable no matter what. This creates unshakable presence that's magnetic. Here's how self-acceptance changes your behavior. You stop performing and start being authentic. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're just being yourself. You're not afraid to show your real personality, your quirks, your weirdness, your genuine interests. Rejection doesn't devastate you because your worth isn't on trial. Someone not liking you is just information about compatibility. It's not a verdict on your value. You naturally filter for people who appreciate the real you because you're showing the real you instead of a performance. And you become outcome independent. You genuinely don't need any specific outcome. You're okay whether they like you or not. And that outcome independence is incredibly attractive. Let me give you the practice of self-acceptance, because this is where the rubber meets the road. Catch yourself rating your worth based on outcomes. Notice when you think I got rejected, so I'm worthless, or they liked me, so I'm worthy. Your worth doesn't change based on external events. Remind yourself, I'm a fallible human with inherent worth. Say it out loud if you need to. I'm a fallible human with inherent worth. Accept your mistakes without global self-condemnation. You can make a mistake without being a mistake. You can fail at something without being a failure. Separate your behavior from your identity. Your actions aren't you. You're the person who sometimes acts well and sometimes acts poorly. And practice self-compassion when you mess up. Talk to yourself like you'd talk to a good friend. With kindness. With understanding. Not with harsh criticism and global condemnation. I had a patient who was terrified of rejection. Absolutely terrified. He wouldn't even ask anyone out because the possibility of rejection felt like death. We worked on unconditional self-acceptance for months. Then he finally asked someone on a date. He was completely himself, awkward moments and all. He stumbled over his words a few times, made a dad joke that didn't land, spilled water on the table. All the things he was terrified of, and she loved him for it. She told him later that she'd been on so many dates with guys who were clearly performing, trying to be smooth or impressive or perfect. But he was just real, and that realness was refreshing. She could finally see the actual person instead of a performance. That's the power of self-acceptance. Here's what's wild. When you truly accept yourself unconditionally, you become more attractive without trying. Why? Because you're not performing anymore. You're not seeking validation. You're just you. And that authenticity is what people have been craving all along. They can finally see the real person instead of the mask. Next time you're worried about someone's opinion, ask yourself this. If they don't like me, does that change my inherent worth as a human? The answer is always no. Always. Their opinion is just information about compatibility. Nothing more. When you truly get this, when you feel in your bones, you'll stop needing their validation. And that's when you become genuinely attractive. Now I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds great, Ellis, but how do I actually do this in real situations? What does this look like in practice? Let me show you. Once you stop needing validation, your behavior naturally changes in ways that create genuine attraction. Here's what this actually looks like in real interactions. First, your communication changes. You stop over-explaining or justifying yourself. You state things simply and you're done. You don't need to convince them or get their approval. You're comfortable with silence and pauses. You don't feel the need to fill every gap. You express your genuine opinions without hedging. You don't say, I mean, maybe, or I guess, or does that make sense at the end of every sentence seeking validation? You ask for what you want without apologizing. You don't say sorry, but would it be okay if maybe possibly? You just say, I'd like to see you again. Are you free this weekend? And you can disagree without fear of losing approval. You can say, I see it differently without panicking that they'll hate you. Second, your energy shifts. You're present in the moment instead of in your head worrying. You're actually listening to them instead of planning what to say next. Your body language becomes more relaxed and open. You're not tense or guarded. You make natural eye contact without anxiety. Not staring them down. Not avoiding eye contact. Just natural, comfortable connection. Your tone is steady, not seeking approval or validation. There's no upward inflection at the end of statements, turning them into questions. And you radiate calm self-assurance, not desperate neediness. People feel this energy. They're drawn to it. Third, you develop outcome independence. You enjoy the interaction for what it is, not what it might become. You're not 3 steps ahead, planning your future together. You're here, now enjoying this moment. You're genuinely curious about them, not performing for them. You're asking questions because you actually want to know, not because you're trying to impress them. You're okay with either outcome, connection, or moving on. This paradoxically makes connection more likely because there's no pressure. And you attract people who appreciate your authenticity instead of people who like your performance. Fourth, you handle tests and uncertainty differently. When they don't text back immediately, you don't spiral. You just continue with your day. When they test you or play games, you don't chase. You maintain your boundaries. You're willing to walk away from wrong-fit situations. This demonstrates high self-worth, which is attractive. Let me give you some real scenarios so you can see exactly what this looks like. Scenario 1, the delayed response. Old pattern. Check phone constantly. Anxiety spiral. Why haven't they texted back? What did I do wrong? Send multiple texts. Hey, hello, you there? Just checking in. This pushes them away. New pattern. Notice the urge to check your phone. Remind yourself you're okay either way. Continue living your life. Do something you enjoy. When they text back, you respond naturally. Why this works? You're not giving them power over your emotional state. You're demonstrating you have a life. You're not sitting around waiting for them. That's attractive. Scenario 2, the disagreement. Old pattern. They say they think something and you immediately backtrack. Oh, you're right, I was wrong. You agree with everything to avoid conflict. You apologize for having an opinion. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. This makes you seem weak and inauthentic. New pattern. I see it differently. Here's my perspective. Explain your view calmly. We don't have to agree. Why this works. You're showing confidence in yourself without needing their approval. You're demonstrating you have your own mind. Disagreeing doesn't mean conflict. It means you're two separate people with separate thoughts, and that's healthy. Scenario 3, asking someone out. Old pattern. Hedge. Apologize. Make it easy for them to say no. So I was thinking maybe if you're not busy and we could possibly hang out sometime, if that's okay with you, no pressure. This communicates you don't think you're worthy of a yes. New pattern. I'd like to take you out for coffee this Saturday. Are you free? Direct. Clear. Comfortable with either answer. Why this works. You're communicating confidence. You're making it easy for them to give a clear yes or no. You're not putting the burden of decision on them. And you're showing you're okay regardless of their answer. Scenario 4, after rejection. Old pattern. Catastrophize. Question your worth. They don't like me because I'm not good enough. Try to change their mind. But what if I changed? What if I was different? Please give me another chance. This is painful to watch and pushes them further away. New pattern. Fair enough. I appreciate you being honest. Take care. Move on with your life. Why this works. You maintain dignity and self-respect. You show emotional maturity. You leave the door open for future if circumstances change. But you're not begging or chasing. You're accepting their answer and moving forward. Here's the daily practice. Every single day, practice catching yourself seeking validation. Notice when you're about to change yourself to please someone. Notice when you're checking for their approval. And in that moment, remind yourself I prefer they like me, but I don't need it. I'm okay either way. This simple practice repeated consistently rewires your brain. It takes time. Your brain has been programmed for approval seeking probably since childhood. But neural pathways can change. New patterns can form. I've seen it happen thousands of times. Here's what happens over time. As you stop seeking validation, you become more authentically yourself. As you become more authentic, you attract people who actually like the real you. Not the performance, the real you. As you attract genuine connections, you need validation even less because you're getting real connection instead of surface-level approval. It becomes a positive spiral instead of the death spiral we started with. You build genuine confidence that isn't dependent on external validation. You develop deeper, healthier relationships with people who appreciate you for who you actually are. And you stop wasting time with people who aren't right for you because you're not trying to twist yourself into what they want. Look, I've given you a lot here. The psychology of why needing validation kills attraction. The difference between wanting and needing. The 3 core irrational beliefs driving approval seeking behavior. The disputation process to challenge those beliefs. The practice of unconditional self-acceptance. And practical real-world applications of what this looks like in actual interactions. But all of this comes down to one fundamental truth that I need you to really hear. You don't need anyone's validation to be worthy. You never did. You never will. Your worth as a human being is not up for debate. It's not determined by whether someone swipes right, texts back, falls in love with you, or stays with you forever. Your worth just is. It exists because you exist. And when you truly internalize this, not just understand it intellectually, but feel it in your bones, everything changes. You stop performing. You stop seeking approval. You stop changing yourself to fit someone else's idea of who you should be. And paradoxically, that's when you become most attractive. Because you're finally showing up as yourself. The real you. The you that doesn't need permission to exist. Doesn't need validation to have worth. Doesn't need anyone's approval to be okay. I've seen this transformation in thousands of people. The moment they stopped needing validation was the moment they started attracting genuine, healthy relationships. Not because they learned some trick or technique, but because they became emotionally independent. And emotional independence is the most attractive quality a human being can have. So here's your challenge. For the next week, practice unconditional self-acceptance. Every time you catch yourself seeking validation, pause. Remind yourself I prefer approval, but I don't need it. I'm okay either way. Notice how your behavior changes. Notice how your anxiety decreases. Notice how you start showing up more authentically. This isn't easy work. Your brain has been programmed for approval-seeking probably since childhood, but it's absolutely possible to rewire this pattern. I've seen people completely transform their relationships, their confidence, their entire lives by making this shift. You can be one of them. You already are just by watching this and understanding these concepts. Now you just need to practice. Remember, you don't need their validation. You never did. You're already enough. Now, if you want to go deeper into this, because there's one mistake people make even after they understand all of this. They develop self-acceptance. They stop seeking validation. But then they make one critical error that pushes people away for a completely different reason. I break down exactly what that mistake is and how to avoid it in this video right here. It's called Why Being Too Independent Kills Relationships, and it's the natural next step after everything we covered today. Click it now. This is the missing piece.